After spending real time with these phones, I honestly feel comfortable saying that the Realme Neo8 is my top pick at around 250 pounds, even with a few small compromises. It's been almost a year since I last bought a Realme device, but that doesn't mean I'm going to hold back praise when a product actually delivers. And like always, I'm skipping the fancy B-roll. Let's just talk straight about the phone. So yeah, welcome to my review of the Realme Neo8. A quick shout out to my tech partner from China for sharing this video. A big thank you for making this possible. Hey everyone, it's Maiky from techmaiky. If you love staying updated with the latest gadgets, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss out on our exciting tech content. Let's start with the design. Realme isn't exactly a giant in the market right now, and honestly, at my age, around 25 or 26, I'm usually not into overly flashy designs, but surprisingly, I really like how the Neo8 looks. With some niche brands, you'd probably be paying 2,000 or even 3,000 yuan for a similar feel. I've seen plenty of transparent style backs before, but this one doesn't quite live up to what competitors are offering at the 250 pounds level. Still, it looks noticeably better than its GT8 sibling. I'm also not a huge fan of the RGB lighting. Sure, it's kind of fun when it lights up for notifications while the phone is face down, but in real life, it doesn't add much practical value. Before jumping into the phone's biggest weaknesses, let me quickly touch on the overall hardware package. You're getting a metal frame, glass back, a 1.5K display with a 165 Hz refresh rate, a Periscope telephoto lens, and an ultra-deep fingerprint sensor. Even with its shortcomings, that's a pretty reasonable setup for this price. So technically, we could end the review right there, but of course there's more to talk about. The screen, unfortunately, is one of the weaker points. There's a noticeable grainy or rough effect at low brightness, like even when you're just looking at dark solid colors at medium brightness. It almost feels like a paper texture on the display. It's hard to explain, and I probably can't show it properly on camera, but if you often use your phone in dim environments, you'll definitely notice it. Official specs mention a Samsung M14 panel, but in real-world use, it honestly feels worse than the BOE screen on its G8 sibling. Some people claim it uses the same M14 as the iQOO 15, but visually, especially at low brightness, there's a clear gap. At medium to high brightness, though, the screen is actually fine for this price range, aside from a slight green tint. Outdoor brightness tuning is a bit conservative, but it's still readable. Now let's talk performance. I remembered hearing that the frame rate strategy leans towards saving battery life, and that the screen ceiling wasn't great either. But once I started testing, the results genuinely surprised me. My tests were done at an ambient temperature of 24 degrees Celsius, using the phone bare at 300 nits, and this setup is going to be my standard for all mid-range devices on this channel moving forward. First up was Golden Cicada at 120 FPS with medium to high graphics. Apart from minor dips during scene changes, it stayed mostly smooth, only locking to 90 FPS for a few minutes toward the end of a half-hour session. Compared to the iQOO Z11 Turbo, power consumption was similar, although the Neo8 did trail slightly in performance near the end. Next, I tested Honor of Kings in 10v10 mode with frequent team fights. 2 back-to-back matches at 120 FPS and max graphics ran for about 30 minutes, and it held a stable 120 FPS the whole time. Then I moved on to PUBG Mobile, which supports a 165 FPS mode. With smooth graphics, 1080p resolution, and anti-aliasing turned on, it stayed at 165 FPS for the first few minutes, then dropped and locked to 120 FPS for roughly 2 minutes. I don't have an Ace 6T with the same 8 Gen 5 chip on hand, but I do own the OnePlus Ace 6 with a Snapdragon 8 Elite. Running at 720p and 165 Hz, the Ace 6 showed slight fluctuations but didn't lock its frame rate. When you compare that to the Neo8 running at 1080p, it's kind of a mixed result, especially considering the Ace 6 is powered by an 8 Elite. So yeah, taking everything into account, the Realme Neo8 still stands out to me as the most recommendable option around 250 pounds, even if it's not perfect. And finally, the biggest surprise for me was the Mingqiao chip. Everyone online keeps saying that 8 Gen 5 chips are trash, but I actually know a phone that pulls around 8 watts of power while running the Ming Dynasty game at max graphics, and it still manages an average of 58 FPS during extended gameplay. Yes, there are obvious frame drops during special skill animations, but for most of the session it stays above 55 FPS, which is honestly pretty solid. Of course, that level of performance comes with heat. The phone peaked at about 47 degrees Celsius. But let's be real, Mid-range phones are mainly bought by students and gamers, and I'd personally take a warmer device over choppy frame rates any day. For me, that trade-off is totally fine. I also want to clear something up. I almost never hype up phones, and I know some of you might think this sounds like a paid promotion. Last time I complimented Huawei for its smoothness and display, people seriously thought I'd been sponsored. So let me say this clearly again. This is a retail unit that I bought myself during the first winter launch batch. All the results you're hearing are based on the initial system version, and this is the 12 gigabyte model. There's zero commercial involvement here. Now let's move on to the camera. Getting a telephoto lens at around 250 pounds is genuinely impressive. Before this, whenever someone asked me what phone to buy for photography at this price, I honestly had no good answer. Most mid-range phones in this bracket were using recycled main sensors from years ago. Telephoto lenses were basically non-existent. This year, the K90 finally added a telephoto, but dropped image stabilization. With only native 2.5x zoom, its telephoto performance is weak, and it's pretty much unusable in low light. On the other hand, even though the Realme Neo8 uses a relatively small 2.75-inch telephoto sensor, its native 3.5x zoom plus optical image stabilization at least give you usable results in good lighting. Daytime shots are a bit soft, sure, but they're absolutely acceptable. Edge sharpness falls off quickly in slightly backlit scenes, and chromatic aberration becomes more noticeable. But at this price, I still have to give credit for including a Periscope telephoto at all. Meanwhile, some brands keep shouting about value for money while offering pretty average specs. They complain about rising memory prices, yet mid-range phones now easily hit $3,000 or $4,000, and they still try to compete with iPhones. Prices go up when memory gets expensive, but somehow never come down when costs drop. As for brands trying to escape the budget label, I can only say everyone has their own path. If you don't step up, someone else will. I'm just a regular person with limited money and high expectations, so when I see a genuinely good value product, I want to give it credit. At this price point, we also need to stay realistic. Don't expect ultra-level image quality. Don't expect groundbreaking color science. What matters is that the focal lengths cover everyday life, near or far, big or small, and in that sense, it does its job. I'm sharing this review after only about 2.5 days of use, so you can roughly estimate battery life from my experience. Today, I ran dual SIM all day, used about an hour of outdoor 5G navigation, played 2 gaming sessions indoors, and spent the rest of the time watching videos and scrolling WeChat on Wi-Fi. With its 8,000 mAh battery, I'd say endurance is solid, maybe even slightly above average. I used to think after-sales service was the most important thing for long-term phone ownership. When I was younger, who didn't buy a few niche brands? Honestly, they felt almost the same as no-name phones. But as I've gotten older, I've realized that stability and everyday usability are also forms of value. Since the Realme GT5 Pro, Realme hasn't released anything that truly amazed me. Their phones usually offer decent value, but not enough for me to fully recommend. That said, the Realme Neo8 might become one of my most recommended phones over the next few months. Around the 250-pound mark, even with small drawbacks like the screen, it's a very well-balanced option overall. This self-funded review wasn't easy, so if you found it helpful, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And finally, remember to recycle your old phone. If you want more tech reviews like this, hit that thumbs up. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.